Contrary to popular belief, I know exactly what I'm doing.
Tony Stark is one of the many geniuses who make up the MCU, but he was arguably the most interesting one. He always found a way to make us laugh, and loved nothing more than tinkering with his Iron Man suits day in and day out. His tech obsession would lead him to eventually make the perfect Iron Man armor, but it turns out that he didn't make it all on his own. Even Tony Stark needs a little help from his friends sometimes, and that is exactly what he got from T'Challa, the King of Wakanda, the most technologically advanced country in the MCU world. The recently released book, The Wakanda Files, has given us hardcore MCU fans so much to think about, and in that book, Marvel confirmed that Iron Man's armor was made with the help of Wakandan technology. As smart as Tony Stark is, he wasn't able to create a nanotech suit from scratch. That kind of advanced tech could only come from one place, so it seems like T'Challa's decision to open Wakanda's doors to the rest of the world at the end of Black Panther had a huge effect on at least one of the Avengers. We got our first look at Iron Man's Mark 50 armor in Avengers Infinity War, where it was easily Tony Stark's most advanced armor, giving him incredible abilities we've never seen before. The nanotechnology essentially allowed him to always have his suit on him. All it took was a press of his arc reactor and he was ready to fly around and fire beams out of his hands. The entire armor fit into a removable chest arc reactor and gave Tony more strength, speed, and durability than he had previously. The Mark 50 armor pretty much turned Tony Stark into a shapeshifter, if you think about it. On top of all that, it definitely protected Tony from taking more damage in his fight against Thanos on Titan. It was crazy to see how big of a leap forward it was from the Mark 47, which got plenty of fans thinking about how it was possible for the Mark 50 to be so much more advanced. Thanks to the release of Marvel's The Wakanda Files book, we were able to put two and two together, and learn that Tony's use of nanotechnology in the Mark 50 suit was reliant on Wakandan assistance. In the book, we learn about communications between Pepper Potts, Stark Industries' asset management department, Tony Stark, and Jarvis, which was pretty confusing because, he was completely obliterated. Anyway, they were dealing with an information trade that led to Stark gaining access to nanotechnology. Now, that doesn't completely give away the fact that it was Wakanda who gave Tony Stark nanotech, but this next bit does. Also in the book, we see some notes on Tony Stark's development of the Iron Spider armor for our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man during the unrest in Captain America Civil War. Tony mentioned obtaining nanoparticle tech from a friend, who we can safely assume is T'Challa, and using it to make a more versatile and protective suit for the kid, who he calls the real deal after the airport fight in Berlin. Considering that the Black Panther and Spider-Man were on Team Iron Man in Civil War, it makes perfect sense for Tony Stark to be using the nanotech T'Challa gave him to work on a suit for not only himself, but Peter Parker as well. We always talk about Peter looking up to Tony as a father figure, but not enough about Tony Stark seeing Peter as his own son. This revelation suggests that Tony Stark had very big plans for Spider-Man, which were confirmed in Spider-Man Homecoming. Tony made him this incredible nanotech suit, and even offered him a spot in the Avengers at the end of the movie. But Peter knew it was too soon, and rejected the offer. This shows the shift in Tony's character arc from a selfish person to a selfless one. But despite this change in character, Tony was still completely obsessed with creating the perfect Iron Man armor. Combine this with the Chitauri invasion, which also had an influence on Tony, as it made him want to become the perfect protector of Earth as well, and Tony Stark was spending almost all of his time perfecting this armor. All of this led him to turn to Wakanda for help in making his Mark 50 armor. But like we mentioned earlier, it wasn't a one-way exchange. To receive the nanotechnology, Tony Stark had to give up a good amount of his data files, something he holds so dear to his heart. It says a lot about his pursuit of the perfect Iron Man armor for Tony to give those files away. It also makes us believe that Iron Man has quite the strong relationship with Wakanda, which isn't surprising considering how much they both love technological improvement. I just wish we got to see more interactions between Tony Stark and T'Challa in the films. The MCU missed an opportunity there. It's crazy to think about how Tony Stark got from the Mark 1 armor to the Mark 50 armor. The Mark 1 was made out of scrap metal and didn't give Tony Stark much mobility. Sure, it had some powerful weapons, but it was far from ideal and was just good enough to help him escape Afghanistan. It was the Mark 2 armor that first introduced us to the repulsor technology that would be in the later generations. The Mark 6 was the next big leap. It was crafted after Tony Stark created a new element for his arc reactor, and was the first armor with underwater capabilities. The Mark 42 armor was interesting because of the fact that its parts could be summoned to Tony's location remotely, like a drone. Following this was the Mark 57 armor, which I've already talked about. This armor was absolutely armed to the teeth with missiles and Gatling guns. It was quite similar to the War Machine suit. Then there was the huge leap to the Mark 50, and the rest, as they say, is history. Due to Wakanda's assistance, this suit allowed Tony to go toe-to-toe with Thanos, eventually leading to the Mark 85 armor that was used in the Battle of Earth, where Tony sacrificed himself to save the world. And that's why Tony Stark got help from T'Challa to make his nanotech Mark 50 Iron Man armor. Did you already figure out that Tony Stark got help from T'Challa? Does this change the way you view their relationship? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more MCU videos. Thanks for watching.